I believe from my experience, I'll be happy that they're having any kind of challenging experience.
You ever get one of those moments where something completely shifts and you don't even notice till it's already been done? A door closes softly, a glance lingers too long, someone just stops calling. Well, that's what went down in Sister Wives, but only this time it wasn't merely a change, it was a soft disintegration of a whole family that had been clinging by threads for decades. It began with an action so minor most wouldn't have blinked twice. Christine collecting Kody's belongings and relocating them to the garage. No shouting, no slamming, just boxes neatly labeled, set carefully out, and an unmistakable message. You don't live here anymore. For years, people watched this family struggle to unite faith, tradition, and love under one roof, or four rather, and for a long time it appeared that they were succeeding. But beneath those smiling interviews and well-crafted words lay something else. Entirely neglect, favoritism, silence, and heartbreak that simmered quietly until it couldn't be silenced anymore. You have questions. What broke Christine finally? What drove Janelle out of the only life she'd ever known for decades? Why has Mary been quiet after holding on so long? And why, no matter all the tears, does Robyn remain untouched? There's something painfully familiar here, especially for those of us who've weathered our own storms. Maybe you've seen a family drift apart. Maybe you've been the one who stayed too long hoping things would change. Or maybe you've been the one who had to pack the boxes. Kody wasn't just a father or a husband. He was the glue holding this whole experiment together. But somewhere along the way, that glue stuck sticky for all the wrong reasons. Christine saw her kids pushed to the side. Janelle continued to bear the weight while everyone else received grace, and Robyn somehow always received understanding even when no one else did. And then there was the time at Garrison's funeral when everything was turned on its head. Again, no cameras recorded it. No one's telling the whole story, but whatever went down between Robyn and McKeely, it was significant enough that forgiveness might never be forthcoming as cracks formed. So too did distance, not only physical miles between houses, but emotional miles between individuals who had once referred to one another as family. You see, this isn't a tale of polygamy. It's about what occurs when people cease to listen. When someone ceases to be seen, it's about aging and understanding that sometimes walking away is the only path to maintaining your dignity. So if you've ever caught yourself glancing back, wondering when things first began to change or suffered the anguish of watching someone you love get treated like an afterthought, then what went on in this family may feel uncomfortably close to home. Let's walk through it, shall we? This isn't a review, it's an examination of the actual emotional price paid behind the smiles and sound bites, and why the quietest goodbyes are often the most powerful of all. Now let's get into the full story. You ever have one of those moments where everything just snaps into place? Like someone finally says, "That's it, I'm done." Well, that's exactly what happened with Christine. It all began with a straightforward but resounding action. She cleaned out Kody's belongings and placed them in the garage. Now, on the surface, that may seem like only a melodramatic act, but when you actually consider it, this was Christine reclaiming her space. It wasn't petty, it was strong, intentional, and long overdue. We're talking his nightstand, his dresser clothes, even his toiletries. All of it out nicely boxed and tagged Kody's clothes, Kody's books, etc. Every tag told a story, softly but insistently declaring you no longer live here. And Kody, he seemed dazed. You could see it in Heist's expression, like it hadn't even crossed his mind that Christine would actually follow through on it. He was visibly taken aback. The expression on his face nearly said, "Hold on, she's able to do this." In addition, Kody had constructed this whole system, spreading his stuff between several homes in the Las Vegas days. He had his stuff distributed between 4 houses. Mary's house wasn't so much in the rotation, so that left Janelle, Christine, and Robyn to take up the slack. Christine, exiting the picture quite unexpectedly, tossed a wrench into his arrangement, and when Janelle relocated into the trailer, that meant Kody's miscellaneous items, such as his workout equipment, had yet another destination. It was sort of a complicated game of musical chairs with dumbbells and nightstands. Christine wasn't just packing up boxes, she was making grand choices today. "I sold my bed," she said in a matter-of-fact way. She and Kody had been debating who gets what furniture, and in a moment, replete with irony, Kody attempted to make the bed his. "That was my bed," he protested, despite the fact that he'd once bullied her into purchasing that bed to begin with, and Robyn needing it in her home, really. That was just preposterous, but here's what truly counted. This wasn't about furniture. It was about letting go. Christine had waited years for partnership equity and just plain respect, and she received none of it, so she didn't wait any longer. She did something about it. This was her wake-up call. Let's not forget, Kody had already informed her the marriage was dead. He told her straight out, but Christine was the one who made it happen. He enjoyed playing the role of father and husband when it suited him, when it enhanced his reputation, but when being that man actually required it. Well, that's where things unraveled. Christine at last lost hope. Hope he would change. It was fortunate. She had some distance her mother had defected from the church, and that provided Christine with perspective and guidance to envision life on her own terms. Turns out that she'd been planning to leave for some time, speaking with others, making arrangements, even talking to the children. And yet when she actually did leave, Kody pretended to be surprised, as if he hadn't heard her, actually heard her all along when she told him. She wasn't happy. That selective hearing, it tells us a lot. Eventually, she did what she told him she was going to do. And Kody, he simply didn't anticipate it. Oh, and Robyn, she cried, not one tear for Garrison, and right there, that says it. All you need to know, Kody once described there being a divine aspect to his relationship with Robyn, as though it was sacred and beyond reproach, but for years, that very connection has attracted criticism, and yet, Robyn was afforded all benefit of doubt, no fault. Just individuals wanting to hear her version of things. But that all changed at the tell. All her actions were judged, not ignoble. Christine had desired to have a private, real talk with Kody without Robyn's presence. "I thought it was fair," she stated, and most viewers did too. However, after each clip that played, Robyn's responses were revealing. That smirk, that smug little grin kept creeping across her face, as if none of this theatrics actually concerned her, and in an instant she'd revert right back to her go-to look: wide eyes, sad face, full of bewilderment. It was as if she flipped a switch from "I already know all this" to "Wait, what, I had no idea?" This isn't a new trick either. Robyn has been doing this same act for years, pretending to be clueless, resorting to victimhood whenever questioned, and when the tears came, they were always plentiful. Plenty of them, but not this time when someone the family loved dearly, Garrison, was mentioned. Robyn didn't let a single tear fall, not even a suggestion of one, for a woman who's often been the most emotional person in the room for nearly two decades. Her stone-cold reaction stood out. No red eyes, no sniffles, no tissues, just nothing. And it made people wonder, were the tears ever real, or has Robyn always had that much emotional control, knowing exactly when to cry and, more importantly, when not to? There's been a noticeable pattern in how she operates whenever someone else gets hurt or upset because of something she's done. Robyn somehow manages to redirect the story to her. She's moved by their pain, subtly but enormously powerful. This time, instead of tears, there was something else, something colder, more defiant. It was calculated, as if there had been a pre-show pep talk. Stay strong, keep control, don't let them see any weakness. And why would she need to perform anymore? She already has it all she ever wanted: Kody's undivided attention, the legal wedlock, the house, the happy household. She doesn't have to win over the others anymore. The struggle is over. We just don't care anymore, Christine said, and you could sense the authenticity of that. What's left now is someone who no longer has to pretend, because, quite frankly, she has nothing left to lose. But Kody, he didn't walk out on Christine alone. He emotionally distanced himself from his own children, and rather than taking ownership of that, he's pointing fingers at her again. In a recent TL episode, Kody alleged that Christine despised him in part because of an incident all those years ago, when their daughter truly almost died. That was in season 6, nearly. A decade ago, he told her she accused him of being irresponsible. She brought it up at length while viewers were already lingering on him, fumbling over his decisions. During how he quarantined with Robyn and her children, distancing himself from the rest of the family. Mentioning Truly's name now seemed to be a distraction, means of deflecting blame, and it didn't end there. He also admitted to missing Isabel's surgery, claiming it was too dangerous to travel, but to the rest of us, and everyone watching, it seemed more like abandonment than worry. Christine could read the signs, and she was not going to let her children be treated like second-ass family members any longer. The manner in which Kody introduced Truly's health scare, all these years later, it seemed abrupt and premeditated, like he was grasping for a reason more than going back to an old sore. Over season 16, the family was already managing Isabel's overdue scoliosis surgery and Kody's refusal to accompany her due to traveling during the pandemic was a standout in a major way. Christine explained how devastating it was for Isabel, who simply wanted her dad's present. She absolutely wants her dad there. Christine told us that combination of sadness and resignation familiar to so many parents. I don't want to lose another child, Kody said, insisting he didn't want to take the chance. I don't want to have one of my children die. It seemed a reasonable fear until you took a closer look, because instead of confronting the decisions he had made, it seemed like Kody was drawing on the memory of Truly coming so close to dying as a shield, particularly if Kody and Christine had been bickering behind the scenes over how to take care of Isabel. Envision Christine saying something like, "You nearly lost one of our children previously because you paid no attention to the signs." I'm not waiting around this time. It's not hard to picture whether Kody was fully at fault or not. There's no denying the emotional weight of Truly's hospitalization. He wasn't there when she needed him most, and that kind of absence doesn't just fade, it lingers. Now fast forward to a scene where Kody is proudly building a custom vanity for Ariella, his youngest, with Robyn for Valentine's Day. Sweet, sure, but for people who'd never witnessed him show the same concern or thoughtfulness toward Truly, it was like a gut check. Christine even had to appear in court simply to resolve child support. She informed Kody bluntly, "You and I really do need to have an agreement on child custody. That is not the sort of discussion that occurs when both parents are fairly active. It's difficult to envision Kody going out of his way to perform something positive for Truly. Does he even understand what brings her joy, what she is passionate about? From what we've seen, it doesn't seem like it. And the differences in how he treats his kids, they're glaring. Robyn's kids, especially Ariella, get attention, time, and special memories. Meanwhile, Truly and Isabel, despite being in the same age range, are quietly pushed to the side. Think about that. Baking cookies, pizza nights, playdates. These aren't complicated things. They're simple, everyday ways to help a child feel loved and included. But Robyn and Kody did not make that same effort with Christine's younger children, even when their kids were the same age. It's not about money or showy gestures. It's about appearing. All those years of seeing Christine's children treated like an afterthought for her own children just added up, and it all came together when Truly became seriously ill while the adults were busy coordinating a family ceremony. Let that sink in. Her daughter was really ill, and the adults were too busy with planning a party to pay attention. Fortunately, older siblings such as Aspen and Melty came to the rescue. They saw the symptoms and took action when the adults didn't. That kind of oversight, whether it's rooted in outdated beliefs about healthcare distraction or just plain negligence, leaves deep scars. And then there's Isabel. She endured pain for years while her condition was brushed aside. Instead of compassion, she got blame. Kody told her she hadn't done enough stretching. Imagine hearing that as a teen when you're scared and hurting. It's surprising she didn't form some sort of maladaptive coping behavior. But no, she persevered. She moved past it, exhibiting a sort of inner strength most adults would not be able to find. You could see Kody wasn't really thinking in the tell. He wasn't taking responsibility for his errors. He was simply attempting to explain them away, mentioning Truly's hospitalization all those years ago, that wasn't about being honest or open. It was simply another attempt to deflect attention away from his recent decisions. Another excuse among a long series of them, and that's the thing: the Browns established their public persona on truth and openness. But increasingly, it seems that the real story wasn't supposed to be shared. Take Mary, for instance. For years, viewers were told a specific version of how Kody and Robyn met at a dance. It was even presented that way early in the show. But now Mary suddenly saying she has no idea where that story came from, really, because it's one of at least 3 versions floating around out there now. And when the facts begin to shift this much, it's not a matter of memory, it's managing a narrative, and this family isn't new to that. Kody has always attempted to draw a clean, uncomplicated picture of how things transpired. Like when he stated, "I married Mary 20 years ago. Then married Janelle 17 years ago." It sounds so neat, doesn't it? Like Janelle simply wandered into the family from the periphery. But in fact, Janelle was technically married to Mary's brother prior to becoming a sister wife. So they weren't merely family friends, they were actual in-laws. That's not a minor detail. It's an entire other layer of complexity that's largely been overlooked. The Browns have over time had their narrative presented in a way that's been refined, smoothed, and selectively edited. And when some of it becomes inconvenient, they either rewrite it or just quietly abandon it. There's even the assertion in Becoming Sister Wives where she describes the day she met Kody. She says that her mother told her she had to get her scent out there, so she went to a dance and consented to her siblings' socialization. That line alone made eyebrows rise. Was it get your scent out there, or something more like get your stink out there? Either way, it's an odd way to describe how she came to meet her future husband. This sort of selective retelling isn't reserved for them in some religious fundamentalist groups. It's quite widespread. There's frequently this dynamic proclaim the rules, do things quietly behind their back, then lie about it ever taking place. Say one thing in public and do another in private, and the Browns, intentionally or otherwise, have played out that scenario to the letter. Some fairly large facts have been glossed over, undefined, such as the fact that all of the adults in the family are cousin, distant to one another, undefined, or the way Kody's weddings didn't go down exactly as presented on the show, undefined. Instead, what we got was a sanitized version 1 that was more neatly fit into an easily recognizable TV template, something closer to big love than to real life. They even made a point of distancing themselves from Warren Jeffs and his faction, making it very clear they didn't approve of those rituals, which, to be fair, is important. But that distancing simply underscored how scrupulously they were balancing the public's image of them. In the meantime, the actual changes have been occurring off camera. Just consider, Christine, have you ever seen how women look better once they've escaped a bad relationship? It's as if the weight lifts and lo, they radiate. Christine is living proof. Daughter says she appears more self-assured, more radiant. All the happy aspects of her personality have returned. It's like she's herself again, finally. And to think there's that legendary anecdote Kody used to tell about how he lost interest in her because she was having nachos. Nachos, like that was some sort of deal killer. Now Christine glows self-assured in her own skin, like she just emerged from a makeover montage in a movie, and it's impossible not to smile as she finds her happiness back again. Christine is totally transformed. She's looking fabulous now, confident, radiant, just alive. Kody would have to be oblivious not to notice, but then again, paying attention has never really been his thing, and she's not alone. Janelle has found her own way too. There was even one time when she dressed up in a dress that flaunted her makeover, and wow, it made an impression. And what's even more impressive is how all of the initial wives have held up over time. They appear harder, more serene, more like themselves with each passing year. It's incredible what a little liberty and self-esteem can accomplish for the soul and seemingly for the complexion. Now, on the other hand, Kody and Robyn appear to be lugging another type of burden. Not only physically, but emotionally. That age-old saying about how a negative attitude puts 15 pounds on television, it's largely figurative, but it rings true here, Christine. By contrast, moves with a lightness that is impossible to ignore. She bore that emotional load for around 10 years, and now that she's put it down, you can tell she shines. Maybe even Kody had admitted that Christine had never really gotten a break, because he hadn't been available to assist her, but that is just the point. He wasn't assisting, he was sabotaging as one of the wives. Had so succinctly put it, Kody doesn't support, he undermines. He understood that Christine cared about her appearance, and instead of praising her for it, he brought it up against her. It wasn't about his own image either. He wanted his wives to fit into a mold, to be his idea of what was right. That's controlling, not loving, and rather than helping. Christine feel more confident. He undermined her. That's not just painful, that's strategic. A good partner builds you up, Kody. He went the other way, and let's be honest here. It's not like he and Robyn are setting the gold standard for elegance. Remember that dinner? Seen the one that felt more like a barnyard feeding frenzy than a family meal? There's no room to judge someone for eating nachos. I mean, your own table manners are well questionable at best. Christine, on the other hand, now radiates confidence and not. To me, I case confidence and love. You can see it in how she holds herself. She wishes every woman could feel that way, like they're worthy of joy, like they're worthy of attention. And here's the rich irony. Kody attempted to cute back his relationships, grasping for what he perceived as his trophy wife, but after the other wives departed, they flourished, and the trophy so-called, well, she began to break down under the pressure of it all. That, in itself, speaks volumes about what life in Kody's household was actually like. And then, there was the day Kody discovered Christine had moved on. She found love, peace, and real happiness. And what did he do rather than celebrate her, or at least be magnanimous? He behaved as if he'd been cheated, like her healing was. Betrayal of some sort of good man, a really empathetic one, would be thrilled for the mother of his kids. But Kody couldn't even pretend. Honestly, no shock there. Christine herself mentioned, I'm rediscovering who I was before I stepped into the secrecy. And that is what makes her story so relatable for women who've just left repressive or controlling situations. Even the tiny decisions. How you wear your hair, what makeup you wear, what you spend your money on can be deeply empowering. Freedom isn't simply leaving the relationship, it's reclaiming who you are. And Christine, she's radiant proof of that now. Recall Kody's assertion that he'd drive 5 hours more than 300 miles just to hold hands with Robyn right from the start. That tale didn't smell right. Whole weekends absent from his other wives and kids for holding hands. Come on. There were hints of a greater relationship well before things were official, whether emotional, intimacy, or physical. There was obviously something more going on, and when Robyn was questioned about it afterwards during a face-to-face interview, her answer spoke volumes. Her unease was evident, her responses were scripted, and her body language, it wasn't in sync with her words. There obviously was a lot more going on behind the scenes than people would care to admit. Time and again, we observe the same pattern whenever anyone so much as criticized Robyn. Kody would become defensive, irate. Even Christine had seen through it all from the start. She understood that Kody and Robyn were not being truthful regarding their relationship. Not with the other wives, not with the public, and perhaps even less so with themselves. From the beginning, Kody indulged in more attention toward Robyn than toward his current family. He had a home filled with wives and children, actual responsibilities, and yet chose time after time to spend his time with Robyn. And let's be real here, that wasn't about spiritual preparation or developing a friendship. It was physical attraction and emotional intimacy. Christine used to tell about how he went bam and grabbed her face to kiss her. And yes, that did happen while they were being taped. If that was going on while cameras were rolling, it really makes you wonder what went on when nobody was looking. They attempted to brush it off, referring to them as church kisses. A mere peck of the lips, nothing to worry about. But not even Kody could maintain a straight face. He made light of Mormon naughtiness, while Robyn uncomfortably denied anything more than a peck. The reality was more than innocent hand-holding and bashful pecks when a married man begins sneaking around kissing another woman, even though he is emotionally and legally still attached to his wives. That's not courting, that's cheating. Robyn was not just some new hopeful addition to the family. She was in essence a mistress Kody didn't so abruptly leave his family behind after he married her. He had been withdrawing from them for a long time already. And that kiss was not modest. That kiss was not respectful. It was passionate and suggestive, totally out of line considering that he was still married and allegedly devoted to his other wives. To add more complications, there's every chance that Christine was pregnant throughout this affair. Like courtship, so while she was pregnant with his child, Kody was emotionally wrapping himself around Robyn. That's not merely betrayal, it's tragedy, and yet they tried to spin the tale. Kody joked about it. Robyn assured us it was all on the up and up. They waited for full intimacy until after the honeymoon. As if that tidbit somehow recalibrated the moral compass. That's not how actual relationships and trust function, though. If they were actually attempting to create a blended family, there were smarter ways to go about it. Robyn might have spent weekends with all of them, not only Kody. She might have tried to get to know the kids, connect with the other wives, and respect the family she was marrying into, but no, she cut herself off in Kody and kept her children apart. And what about Kody? He was saying over and over again, my space, my house. He was playing house with Robyn, but leaving emotional vacancies in his other houses. Robyn's kids began referring to him as dad before. He had even formed real bonds with the rest of the household. He was tucking her kids in at night, offering them comfort and warmth when his own children barely got that kind of closeness from him in similar situations. When it came to decisions about love, marriage, and commitment, Kody claimed to be preying on it, seeking spiritual guidance, but that guidance always seemed to point toward Robyn while that was happening. Mary, who was anxious to get behind what she likely believed was a move toward mending old wounds, showed kindness to Robyn. Perhaps she believed that it would grease the wheels after years of battle with Christine and Janelle, but Christine was pregnant. She was vulnerable already, sensing the cracks in her marriage, and seeing Kody lose himself emotionally and physically had to be betrayal on a fundamental level. There's no denying it. Janelle was very troubled by the financial aspects of things when Robyn became part of the family, like a lot of the wives she likely expected Robyn to be a contributing member of the family, assist with the children, help out with the duties, perhaps even add some income to the contrary. What occurred? Janelle was subsidizing Kody and Robyn's nights out by taking care of the kids for free. Not really the kind of partnership she envisioned, and along the way the original family started to quietly disintegrate. What's even more revealing is how things were between Robyn and Mykelti. There was a point when Robyn was like a second mom to her. Theirs was a strong relationship, so close in fact that Mykelti literally lived with Robyn as her nanny when she was a teenager. It wasn't some loose association. It was personal and also well documented on the show. They were so close that when Mykelti had her daughter Avalon, she FaceTimed Robyn in labor. That speaks volumes. These were genuine bonds, genuine trust. However, somewhere along the line, that relationship changed. Mykelti and her husband Tony have spoken of it thoughtfully. They've stated, "We do our best to say what we can while being respectful of our families and relationships. We don't lie. It's obvious that they're trying to be benevolent and protect, even though they're admitting that something profound has shifted. The point of change, they say, was at Garrison's funeral. They haven't gone public with the specifics, only that whatever occurred, they're profoundly altered how they perceive their relationship with Robyn. And although Mykelti maintains she still communicates with Robyn and Kody, the dynamic has significantly shifted, where once they put in the effort to maintain contact, they've now backed off. They mirror the energy they get, which in their eyes isn't much. They are no longer putting in the heavy work. There's been a great deal of speculation on what precisely occurred at the funeral. Others claim that Kody or Robyn perhaps said something offensive or behaved in a manner that didn't quite belong, perhaps being too affectionate at the wrong moment or making a comment that struck the wrong chord. Others believe it could have had something to do with inquiring about Garrison's estate, or even with the production of the show. But let's get one thing straight. None of that's been confirmed. What is confirmed is this: something occurred that wounded McKeely deeply enough so that she said she can't forgive Robyn for it. That's not something she's ever said lightly, especially considering how close they used to be. Although all these years of public melodrama, the Browns have gotten very good at keeping some things behind closed doors, and this seems like one of those times. Whatever happened at Garrison's funeral may remain a private family matter for a long time. Still, the emotional fallout is undeniable. The change in tone, the distance in relationships, the silence between people who once felt like family, it all tells a story undefined, a quiet, painful one. If you found this deep dive meaningful, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps Undefined. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Much love.